Hello, Liz. Hello, Miraflor. Miraflor. I'm going to check out names on the list.
Hi,
How are you, darling?
I'm fine, doing great.
You're fine. All right, that's good. So, what we're going to ask you to do also is to rename yourself in terms of adding your country where you're coming from, right? So you see IWART USA, and if you go to the three dots to your left, to the left of your screen, I'm looking at it as right, and you hit that drop down and you'll see rename, and all you have to do is add your country. I need to, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine. Thank you.
Good. I think there's one of your colleagues in Nepal who just sent a message to say her entire family's down with COVID
Yes.
and she has to look after them. My prayers are with her, right?
Sylvia.
Good, nice, glad you're here.
Mhm.
Christina Michela, how are you?
Hello, I'm doing fine. Barely eating my dinner.
Welcome back, Anupama. Anupama, could you do a rename? Just add your country to your name. Rebecca, you need to add your country to your name. Perhaps I can help you. I can help you here. And if you guys are in pronouns and preferred pronouns, you may put that also. Anupama, what country are you coming in from?
Nepal. Okay.
Nepal. All right, good. Nice. Thank you. I'll just add it to your name. No worries.
As we're waiting, I'm just going to ask a question or two. Hello, Nitu. Are you planning to make a film, or are you thinking more of training trainers?
From Nepal, we are planning to make a film.
Okay, wonderful. And do you have a theme already?
Yes, yes, we discussed a little bit.
Okay, wonderful. Is it, you say we, so you're going to be working with somebody else?
Yes, myself, Anupaji, and other colleagues from Nepal. We means from Nepal.
Greetings.
Actually, Neetaji, I'm making one on my own too.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. And are you both television based or radio based or
Myself,
print?
television based.
Say it again.
Television based.
Television based.
Yes.
And Anu?
Hello, Liz. Do you remember my face?
Of course I do. Yes. It's so wonderful to see you.
Yeah. And I will make a video. So on deforestation, I'm planning on that.
Amazing.
So.
Amazing.
Okay.
And is your background radio, video, or print, or all of the above?
Especially radio and video, radio and TV.
Okay.
We have met in Cameroon.
Yes.
And
yes, yeah.
Yes. Okay. I'll be not on video call most of the time, but
Okay.
my audio will be on.
Let me ask you a question, Anu. Is it very hard for you to do a breakout session? Is that kind of hard with the cell phone?
What kind of breakout session? I didn't get it properly.
A breakout session in Zoom is when you go into a smaller group, and sometimes it's easy to do that, and sometimes it's harder for people to do that.
Oh, actually, I haven't done it before. I've done in only big groups in Zoom.
Okay, that's great. That's good to know. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So great to see you, Anu. Lovely. And thank you for reminding me about Cameroon.
Yes, because
You
that
have
time
good
we
point.
talked about presenters in television channel. I was doing thesis on that and we discussed on that.
Yes, yes, that's right. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Miraflor, I wanted to just say hello and welcome you.
Hi.
How are you?
Thank you.
I heard your beautiful voice. I see you have a full house today.
Hi. It's my first time attending an international webinar. I am 21 years old.
Wonderful, Miraflor. And are you planning to do a training of trainers, or are you going to shoot a film?
Actually, I'm not the leader. I'm only introduced to the webinar. I think Ma'am Jola
That's great.
can answer.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm just trying to get a sense.
your
That sounds
question.
wonderful, Miraflor. You just being here is enough.
Hi there.
Yes, thank you. I
Okay.
am humbled to join this session.
Well, and we are very happy to have you. And Malcolm Su, how can you help us pronounce your name?
Malcolm. So you can call me Malcolm. Malcolm.
Beautiful. Thank you. Where are you coming in from?
I'm from Ethiopia and it's my first time, and I found it very interesting because my background is with media and especially in climate change. I had producing a lot of radio programs in climate change and weather forecast. Traditional forecasters and National Meteorology Agency had been working together, and I had been producing climate information and weather information for very rural areas. So it's very interesting for me.
Wow. Well, I am so happy to hear about your background and expertise. And are you thinking to be using this workshop to train future trainers, or are you planning to make a film?
I think it's better for me to learn how to make a film because I had been producing radio programs and they were very interesting. So if I get the skill, I think that I can produce more short videos, and at the same time I can train the journalists I had been training. I had been providing radio production training. So I think I can use from both.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for
And
introducing
Liz,
yourself. I'm thrilled to bring in your expertise. It's really
and
exciting.
Liz, she's one of our new members that's going to form the IWART board in Ethiopia.
Wow, this is wonderful. This is wonderful.
Please, this is Jola.
Hello, Jola. How are you?
Yeah, I cannot open my video because the internet is very slow.
It's
Okay, I invited two Filipina here, graduating students, but they are really know how to use the cell phone because that's also what they did in their course, you know. They even know how to edit, so might as well to learn also in IWRT training, you know. But for they are not trainers, but they really want to learn.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Good.
Okay, and Rebecca, I want to say hello again. I know we said hello to you before, but just to say how wonderful it is to see you. And who is Samsung? How should we rename Samsung? I think we've got almost everybody. Samsung SMS9. Do we know who that is? Okay. Well, it is 8 o'clock, and I think that we will go ahead and get started. I just want to say a warm welcome to everybody who has turned up here today. And I want to say that this workshop is something that we have prepared for you to share with anybody else that you would like to. So some of you are attending this workshop. Is the sound okay? Sound is okay? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So
Yeah.
some of you are
Hello.
attending this workshop.
Acha, keep going. Hello. This is me, Nisha Manandar from Nepal.
Oh, wonderful.
Actually, I just forgot how to rename this.
3
Okay.
dots. Three
Yeah.
dots to the right of you at your picture. Drop down the dots.
Okay.
Nisha.
Yes, I'm Nisha from Nepal.
Okay, I'll go ahead and do that for you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Nisha.
Nisha.
Perfect. Okay. So
Yeah.
once again,
HA, not
Okay.
HE.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Perfect.
Pamela is here.
Okay. Well, it seems like people are still coming in, so we'll welcome Violet.
And Pamela. I see Pamela here. Yeah. Laura, Natalie. Wow, Liz, got it there.
Hi everyone. Hi Liz.
Hello, Violet. Lovely to see you.
Nice to see you all.
Oh, we're going to give it one more minute, and then Sheila, you'll be able to continue to let people in. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, Joel and me.
And let's see if everybody has renamed themselves. It looks like. Welcome, Sarah. Where are you calling in from?
Hi, Uganda here. How are you there?
Can you add your country? I see Pamela coming in from New Jersey.
Sarah, remind me, is your background in film or radio or print?
Okay, hi everyone. Majorly radio.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you know what I'll do? I'll just introduce myself and we'll get started. I want to, first of all, appreciate Pamela and Sheila for spearheading, and Jola for spearheading this wonderful project. And I want to mention that this is a training for trainers, which means that you have permission to share any part of this workshop with anybody in your chapter that you feel it is relevant to, and we can make this available to you afterwards. So the workshop today is structured really as a training trainers, but hopefully it will also be of use for you, because I know many of you are also making your own films. I want to say that I first want to begin by recognizing the wealth of experience in this room. We have climate reporters, we have filmmakers, we have radio journalists. So forgive me if anything feels simplistic to you, but sometimes I find it's important even to remember the basics, even for those of you who have been filming and making films for years. So with that, I am going to present myself. So I've been a member of IAWRT for over 20 years. Wow, did that go fast? And I have been teaching moving images for over 20 years. And I've been making films about the climate and climate change for about over a decade. And I teach moving images, and I have recently been using my cell phone as my primary camera. I am a camera person. So that's my background. And now I'm going to just jump right into the screen. So people are still joining us.
No, it's me from another phone. Can you please?
So basically, what we're going to do is we're going to go over a script overview and preparation. We may not do the breakout today, but breakout sessions are a wonderful way if you are thinking of doing a training of trainers to get people in smaller groups and thinking about their own story ideas. And then we're going to do a wrap up. So again, I want to emphasize that this training is open to anybody that you would like to use this with afterwards. Whenever I do a training, I usually begin with a check-in, just seeing where people are at. In times of COVID, this has been really intense, and it's good to know what the kind of energy and emotions and places that people come into a training. Again, because this is a fast-forward training, we're not doing that today, but it's really nice to do that when you're working with a group. But I'm going to begin right with the content. And there's 8 questions that I always think about when I am planning my story. And I'm going to go over these questions, and then I'm going to give you 2 sample films that we can look at that were made by IAWRT members, and a project that you can draw on if you ever want to see samples of climate films that range from 2 to 5 minutes that are made from people from all over the world that are dealing with this issue. You probably have your own samples that you can integrate into your own trainings. But the first question to really think carefully about is, what is the log line of your video? The log line is how might you synthesize what you want to, the story you want to tell in a simple line. And I'll show you some examples after. The second is, who is the main character and what motivates them? Now, if I really want to bring my climate message to young women in my country, I might decide that the best messenger or character or individual for my story is a young woman, because this will appeal to that audience. What is the form of your script or story? For the purposes of this workshop, we're going to primarily think about interview, but a monologue or script-based story is also possible. We can always do a follow-up on how to come up with a short oral-based first-person monologue. Who needs to hear this story? Now, one of the most complex things we know as reporters is ensuring that we have enough context. For the purposes of these stories, it's a global audience, so really setting up where the person is from, where that place is, perhaps with a map, can be very helpful, and I'll show you an example of that. But who needs to hear this story? Again, think back. Is it a decision maker? Is it a young woman? Is it a family member? Have that person, is it me? You can think about Liz in Canada as the person who needs to best understand how climate is playing out in Ethiopia. What challenges does this individual face? Where does this person face those challenges? In the workshop, I'm going to suggest that any good cell phone story should have 2 to 3 locations. We can call them 2 to 3 scenes. What is she, they, he, or doing about the problem, and with whom? One of the things that really brings stories alive are an interaction. For example, if I am a youth leader working around climate change, it's great to see me working with young people in the street, doing the work I do. I'll call that an interaction. And how has this individual's perspective changed over time? What's the result of them getting involved in climate action? So I'm going to give us a sample, and I'm drawing these samples from a project called The Shoreline, and I'm going to put that in your, actually maybe, let's see how I can do that. Right after this, I'm going to put that into the chat so that you can access any of these films at any times. But this is a collection, just to give you the overview. This is a collection of 43 people from 9 countries who are dealing with climate change in diverse ways. And there's a database in this collection that you can go and look for youth leaders, educators, architects, artists, biologists. All of the films are 2 to 5 minutes. They were shot in a short period of time by women makers from all over the world. And I'm going to show you one that is 2 minutes long, and then we'll break it down. And if you want to, I would love to be able to show you this, let's see, in the chat, but I will do that just after. So here we go.
When I became involved and educated about the Northern Gateway Pipeline going from the tar sands of Alberta to Kitimat, BC, and from there going on super tankers down to California and to China, I understood that I can't wait until I'm mature, until I get more wise or feel confident in myself to take action for my future, because simply there is no time. My First Nations community has seen an onslaught of extractive industries and unconsented industrial development on our territory, of which is culturally degrading and environmentally degrading. And I guess I could say that was what initiated my journey as an activist.
The original drummers are still there. Vocal line.
I'm working with the Salish Sea Marine Sanctuary and Youth Council to empower and educate First Nations youth to be cultural advocates, representatives, and leaders. So we are predominantly targeting inner city youth because they are more open-minded and sensitive to human diversity, but may be less exposed or educated about environmental diversity and the surrounding natural environment. So we need to be able to not only train them in a sense where they can make lawful and good environmental decisions of stewardship, but we also need to teach them about legal aspects as well and how to fight for your land.
Okay, so that is a 2-minute film. And in this film, I had brought up the idea of what is a log line, the one-liner that captures what this short film is about. And in this one, we have a very high-profile young woman, an Indigenous woman from Canada. Her name is Takaya Blaney, and she's training inner city youth to be leaders in environmental justice and leadership. And she defines what is leadership to her. So that's the log line. Singer and activist Takaya Blaney is training inner city youth to be leaders in environmental justice and leadership. Now, sadly, I don't have her doing the training, but I do have her engaged in an action. So the character is Takaya Blaney. We chose her because she already had a high profile and she was already spreading the word. And so we wanted to be able to build on that existing work that she was doing and share it with other youth leaders around the world. The form of this particular video was an interview, and we did this in 2 hours. And basically, to set this up, we have the map, we have the short text that helps explain the challenge, which is in 2 frames. And the challenge in this case is the expansion of petroleum in Canada and its impact on Indigenous communities. The challenges are twofold. You have the issue of the expansion of petroleum and the spills in the water, but you also have the challenge of how to reach youth, how to deal with law and policy, and the need to act now. The 3 locations are quite important. We decided to interview her at her home to bring a kind of intimacy, a quiet. Sometimes it's hard to interview somebody in the street because it can be very noisy. We wanted to see her in action, in an interaction, doing something at the rally. But we also wanted to bring a dimension of her leadership, which is spiritual, which is her Indigenous background. So we also made sure that we saw her being a leader in a ceremony. Her solution: get involved, demonstrate. And the shift in perspective is that she has learned about the value of policy, she has become a leader, and she realizes the multi-dimensions that she has to use in her climate action. Tip on this one is keep it short. I'm going to show you a clip from one other project so that you have a variety. This one was shot by one of our members from India. I'm not going to show the whole film, but just enough to get us going. Let's see, here we go.
கடலுக்குள்ளே மீன் பிடிக்க கட்டுமரத்தில போறோமே ஐலசா ஐலசா கடல் மாதா கண் திறப்பா கவலையெல்லாம் போக்கிடுவாள் ஐலசா ஐலசா.
ஃபோன் எடுத்தா யாருமா பேசுறது? ஃபோன் பண்றேன், வேற யாருக்கு ஃபோன் பண்றேன்? பஞ்சாயத்து தலைவர்.
Actually, I can see that this is let me just do it from here.
கடலுக்குள்ளே மீன் பிடிக்க கட்டுமரத்தில போறோமே ஐலசா ஐலசா கடல் மாதா கண் திறப்பா கவலையெல்லாம் போக்கிடுவாள் ஐலசா ஐலசா.
ஃபோன் எடுத்தா யாருமா பேசுறது? ஃபோன் பண்றேன், வேற யாருக்கு ஃபோன் பண்றேன்? பஞ்சாயத்து தலைவர், கேஷியர், யாருக்கே தலைவர். இந்த யாருமா அலௌன்ஸ் பண்ற மகேஸ்வரிங்க சொல்லுதா? ஓகே, என்னம்மா சொல்லுமா, இந்த தகவல் அலௌன்ஸ் பண்ணலாமா அப்படின்னு கேட்டேன். சரி.
ஐலசா ஐலசா வலை வீசி பிடிக்க போறேன் விதவிதமான மீன்களை தானே.
சாப்பிடல.
I'm just going to stop because I know it's both hard to read the subtitles and it is this is actually a 4-minute film, but I am using this as examples so that you have 2 examples, and let me go back and share my screen. Just a second. Okay, I have temporarily lost my slides. Okay. So with this one, we have, again, an interview-based video, and we have the log line. The log line for this one would be in the aftermath of a devastating storm. Maheshwari learns to forecast weather. So a woman is on the beach with a cell phone communicating about the weather forecast for the day to local fishermen. So the character is Maheshwari. She's a community leader. The form of this particular video is an interview, and you were at least able to see in the first few seconds that there were 3 short texts that help set up the issue for an international audience. So when we think about the script, it's the interview as the basis, but then we have the short 3 frames in a video to help set up the context. The challenge, of course, is dangerous storms and how they impact fishermen. The locations is quite important. As I'm saying, we want to go for 2 or 3 locations. The first location is the setup at the ocean. This is where the problem is playing out. The second location, which you can see if you go back and watch this, is her home. So we want to see how this situation of climate change plays out along the coast, but it plays out on an interpersonal level in her kitchen with her husband, in her family. And the third location is the office, where she's working with other people. So there's 3 locations. Again, just to reiterate, this gives us, think of your tripod. You have 3 legs to your tripod. Similarly, in your video, you want to have a basis of up to 3 scenes. The solution, she has decided that she will learn new technology and share this with her community. The shift in perspective, what happens to her as a result of getting involved in this? She is now more confident in her home. She has a new skill, and she has become a community leader. So both of these films are about women assuming leadership by getting involved in climate change. One is a very young girl. Another is an older woman. So thinking about who is your audience and how does that messenger or that character best reach the audience? But again, this idea of thinking of somebody like me, wanting to see the film and needing those 3 frames to set up just enough context so that I have the information to understand what's happening. The other thing I want to talk about is the storyboard. And basically, with the storyboard, one of the fun rules, if I'm saying that you want 3 scenes, for each scene, you really want to go for 6 shots. The first shot, and this is, Jola is going to address this in the next workshop, but I'm just giving you a kind of introduction. But the 6-shot rule says you will want to get a face, a close-up. Who is this story about? Maybe a medium shot. The second shot would be something like the hands or the oven, a close-up. The third might be the over-the-shoulder, where this individual is interacting in the community. The fourth, I call it the Oprah shot. I don't know if anybody knows Oprah. The third shot is a neutral shot of that person in their environment. They're not talking to you. They're just in their environment, and you can use all of this as cutaway material. And then, of course, some creative shots. So Jola is going to really cover this in depth. The most important thing I want to mention is that you need coverage. 3 scenes, at least 6 shots per scene. You will always want more than you have, and making sure you have a wide variety of shots. So if you have one day with a person and you have 18 shots by the end of your day, you would be a very lucky producer. And literally trying to plan those out in advance is very important. So now that we have a background of these 8 questions that we want to ask, I'd like to ask one volunteer, somebody who would be willing to come forward and go through, let's go through these first 3 questions to see how they might work for you in terms of a log line, who you see is the main character, and what is the form of your script. We'll do one of these together, and we can debate whether it makes sense to break into breakout rooms, ideally in a longer training. I would give people up to 20 minutes to do this in a workshop format. But for the purposes of today, I'm really hoping somebody would like to be a volunteer. And I'd love to suggest that the story from Ethiopia might be a good one to begin with. But really, anybody who's open to trying out this exercise, we are, yes, I thought, Melka, are you ready to try this out?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
wonderful. Thank you for stepping up to this challenge.
No problem.
So I'm sure the concept of a log line is something you've heard about.
Yes.
In one line, what would you say is the story that you would like to tell?
Okay. I just want to tell about a recent drought happened in one of southeastern Ethiopia, a place. So I just want to tell a story of a woman who lost all her cattle. Maybe that gives sense.
Okay. And when you say the story, where is this location? Tell us about the location, this place where the drought is playing out. How is it significant for somebody who doesn't know anything about Ethiopia?
Okay, it's a very large place of where most of the cattle coming from that area. As you know, Ethiopia is the first in number of cattle in Africa. We have many cattle, but most of the cattle are coming from that area. But this white and beautiful cattle are died last month, most of them. So people are committing suicide because of that, because it is a life and death for those people, because they are pastoralists, they are not agrarians, so it's their life. And it's, as I told you, it's a bigger place. It's feeds all the country. You can say that because all the cattle are coming from that area, and people are living. Many people, almost 10% of Ethiopians living there, around there. So it's a big deal.
So I can already imagine the three texts, the 2 or 3 short slides that would help set this up for a global audience. This is a location that feeds the country.
Yes.
10%. This is a location that is experiencing a drought. I might want to know how long this drought has been going on, and that this location feeds 10% of the entire country. As a result, families have been committing suicide. Very short update, thinking of Sheila and me and Jola, none of whom live in Ethiopia, but who need to understand why this place is relevant. That was amazing. Now tell us about the main character and who she is. How did you find her and what motivates her?
Okay, maybe her name could be Khadija, and she is a second wife for her husband, and they have around 200 cattle before the drought. So when the drought has come, they lost half of their cattle first, and then at that time she got problems to feed their children because their main food is milk with sorghum or with corn. But because of the drought, they couldn't plant those sorghum at the same time, so they were depending on milk. So her children start to getting sick because they also give birth on a yearly basis, so she has many little kids. So she start worrying, so the story can start from that. And then after they lost all their cattle, her husband get lost and she cannot find him anywhere. But at the end, she heard that he commits suicide. And at the same time, her little children might be in life and death situation. She is holding that child, her last child maybe, and she's getting sicker herself and she was coughing. That can be the image that I can show, I think.
Okay, so what we have here is a devastating situation where a woman is her challenge is she is trying to feed her children. She has lost her husband and she is essentially on her own with this unbelievable challenge. Is there any idea of bringing in what she can do in the face of all of these challenges? Is there any sense? So clearly, she is a victim of circumstances, but does she have any agency? Does she have, like, is that part of the story? Is her trying to find support, other women, or anything like that? Is that part of the story?
Yeah, it should be, because there should be a coping mechanism. They have kind of supporting each other institutions, traditional institutions. So one of the institutions is helping each other while it's a drought time. So women put some money aside and they collected that and they give for the most vulnerable one. So maybe in that case, they give her that money and she can buy some food from the nearest town for her children. Or in this kind of drought, goats are better than cattle, so they can survive. So maybe she can start goat milk to give her children.
Beautiful. This is great. So already, if we had to name the 3 locations where this film will take place, where does the film begin? What's the first location that you would identify as the sort of formation of our tripod?
Okay. The first, this is a story. So I saw years back while I'm working a climate change program, so I can have the vision very clearly. So the first shoot will be the place where all the animals died. So you can show those beautiful animals in all over the places. That will be the first place. And the next shot will be to Khadija's beautiful traditional house, and she's sitting with her children inside, and she's holding one. And maybe the other shot could be when people helping her, or when she remembers her goat and she's milking the goat or something like that.
That's beautiful. And I think I hear 4 kind of mini scenes in this film. And so that's perfect. But you definitely have the land, her home, and this nonprofit where she goes and seeks out help because she is not alone. And one of the ways that we address climate change is by recognizing that there is no answer that we will resolve on our own. So we understand the challenge. We understand the location where this person experiences the challenge. We have the 2 or 3 little texts that set up the context for Jola or me, who live in Canada, who don't understand how important this is in the country, the place it is in the country. And then we understand what she's doing about the problem. And we understand, hopefully at the end, that something has changed. She went from being desperate to feeling at least like she was not alone. This is obviously just a rehearsal. You'll find something, I think, more complex. But I think that you are definitely ready to try to tell your story in 2 to 5 minutes. And I really appreciate you kind of going along with this. 2 of the things that I would say, and again, this is really what Jola is going to cover, but I know some of you are seasoned journalists who know very well how to tell a story, but maybe are using cell phones for the first time. And the only thing I want to say is a personal anecdote at this moment. This is a tip. It took me 10 years to slow down my shooting. I'm a very energetic person, and my shooting was way too fast. So I literally count to 10. At the beginning of every shot, I try not to move a shot. If I move the shot, I count to 10. I make a very small change. I count to 10 again. More is better than less. I'm only sharing with you that each of us will have our challenges as if we're using cell phone for the first time. They're not the same challenges, but for me, it was remembering to count to 10 for every shot because I was so energetic and so curious that all of my footage for the first 10 years of shooting, honestly, were too quick. Again, I made the decision that I think it might be too much for us to go into breakout rooms, given the brevity of this workshop. But if you were to lead this workshop yourself, what I would ideally suggest is that you would break into smaller groups so that people have a chance to workshop their ideas in the presence of other people. What I want to do now is ask if anybody has any questions that are relevant to script or storyboard. I want to say that the idea of an interview is one of many forms of scripts. You can also work with an individual to develop a monologue. So sometimes what I will do is develop I'll do an interview, a pre-production interview. Then I listen to everything, I kind of shape a little bit of the script, and then with that person, we kind of develop the script together, but I sort of know the key points that I want to cover. And again, using the metaphor of the tripod, 3 points, I usually want 3 key aspects in the interview. The first is the motivation. What motivates this person to be involved in resolving or addressing climate change? The second is, what particularly is the challenge? And the third issue is, what are they doing or where will they go from here? So those, just like the 3 locations, you can divide your interview. And I know for some of you, you've been doing interviews for 10, 20 years. So I'm making this quite simple, but covering those 3 areas, the motivation, the challenge, the what next. It's just a simple way when you're thinking about coverage. Let me be sure I ask a question of Nathalie. Nathalie, you have a question for us.
Yes, I do. Talking of characters, the stories you shared with us focused on one character. So my question is, how do you go about when there is multiple characters, and how do you, what tips do you have to make the video to short as you're saying?
That's a wonderful question, Nathalie. You must have read my mind. So, of course, the easiest way to tell a short story, make a short film in 2 to 5 minutes is to have one character. But many of us insist that if you're working with a collective, that you want the concept of multiple voices. So what I would do is I would basically in advance know that up to 4 characters, let's say, will each have about 30 seconds or 40 seconds to say one thing. So I go in knowing that each character really only has 40 seconds. And I try to ensure that each character, and I'm saying character, but individual, says a piece that contributes to the entire message. So one person might say, what is the challenge? I mean, what is the context? What's happening? Another character might say, how are we addressing it? The third character might say, what we need, what we hope. So when you have multiple characters, it's really helpful to understand what is the story point that each character might say. And what I would do is ensure that I pre-interview all of those individuals to make sure I have a sense of who might do this best, so that when I go in and film, I really understand what I hope to get from each of them. But I would also suggest that less is more when you're making a short film, knowing that sometimes multiple voices is precisely what you want to show and tell. Let's say it's a youth collective, and the whole purpose is that they've come together. And I shot a film recently about a climate group in my home country, and I can share that later, but there were 5 characters, and the beauty of the film was the idea that they were a collective. So certainly this is sometimes what you do. There was another question, I believe, Razia?
Thank you, Liz. My question is, you talked about slowing down when you are taking shots. Well, I used to do that, but now I think I've mastered it. I just wanted to know, is there a rule of the thumb on how the length of what each shot should be? Because normally I count 3 seconds, I move. 3 seconds, I move. So is there a rule of thumb, like how long should one frame be?
Okay, that's a wonderful question. So as we know, video is changing every day and shots are getting quicker and faster. And I always say, shoot between 10 and 15 seconds for coverage, but the average shot will be about 4 to 6 seconds. And as video gets quicker and faster, they're really going like sometimes 3 seconds, but the average shot for me is usually about 6 seconds. And when you open a film, a person is arriving to a new world, a new place. And so usually the first shot in a film is 7 to 8 seconds. It's a little bit longer because we have to settle in. There might be a credit. So I literally not only count when I'm filming, but I count when I'm editing, at least when I'm beginning. And then I kind of feel the rhythm. But what we find is that sometimes our shots are too short because we know the material. But again, you have to remember, Sheila will be seeing this for the first time. She needs to sort of enter what I call your story world. So give your viewers usually 4 to 6 seconds for each shot. Any other questions? But when I'm shooting, you want more coverage. So I tend to, it sounds tedious, but every one of my shots that I collect is 10 to 15 seconds so that I have enough material. Anu?
Yes, yes. I want to ask that for 2 to 5 minutes short film, can we go up to 4 location, or can we finish it within 1 location? That's my first question. And the second question is that for every scene we have 6 shots. That is like for 3 location we have 18 shots. But if the location is less or more, can the main character be? Thank you.
Can the main character be, what was the last part of your question?
Male, because here we have put all she, that's why can the main character be he?
Yes, of course. Okay, so just to be clear, I love to speak in generalities because it helps us as the very base, this idea of 3 locations, 6 shot per location. Of course, these are just guidelines. You can have 4 locations, but then you have to be careful in thinking about literally how much time will you have in each location. So of course you can have 4 locations. There are also going to be scenarios where the person that you are filming does not have the time to take you to 3 different locations. In that case, if let's say you have 1 location and the location is that person's home, you have to be very creative about getting all of your coverage, enough coverage. Maybe you would say, do you have photographs of events and activities that you've been a part of? So you really still want to be thinking about the 3 scenes, even if you only have 1 scene. You might film the person inside, you might film the person outside, and you might film the person looking through photographs of past events. You might film an interaction with that person and their family, an interaction with that person and their neighbor. So again, and when I say an interaction, It's basically like that person being themselves, not talking directly to the camera, but just interacting with somebody else, which is in TV language, I know we all know this, but it's observational footage. So the other part of the question was, can we incorporate men? Of course we can. We know that climate change involves everybody, and I don't actually know. I think the important thing is this a strong messenger to tell the story that you want to tell? Now, of course, our immediate target audience for the films that you are making is our membership. So we have a vast membership of women makers in diverse communities around the world. So it's important to keep us on your shoulder. Think about, what would Liz think about this character? Will she understand what the challenge is? I hope that answers it. Are there any other questions?
I'm wondering, Liz, if I think Judika Lasai, who did a film for us, have a question that she wants to ask you. Because I saw her on screen. Don't be shy now. This is your time, every one of you. Maybe not now. Maybe she's not even here anymore.
Okay.
Okay, Liz, can I ask as we wait for Judika? Judika, please ask. I'm insisting she has to ask something. Okay, Liz, I'm just thinking, does this rule apply also for television and movies, or is it different?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. Yes, it can apply to any filming environment. So these are kind of general rules that I share with anybody who's engaged in making a film. So the 6 shots per scene is really just getting enough coverage so that you have enough to edit it afterwards. And the idea of the locations is really just to give people different dimensions. Like, who am I in my home? Who am I in the classroom? Who am I in the community? So yes, I would say all of these apply to a diverse range of scenarios.
Thank you.
I'm going to just, while we're gathering questions, I'm just going to also just show you, and again, so here we have, just to break this down again, the 6 shots, here we have a face. So you really need to see the person from their face, from the front, to begin to identify with this individual. The close-up, you saw the little shot. This is one of my favorite shots of all times, the telephone and the fish in the same frame. Over the shoulder is really just this idea of a little bit of a longer shot. And in this, we understand the context of what she does. It may be hard to see these images from afar, but we can share this PowerPoint with you afterwards. The neutral, this is the longer shot of this woman at the end of a boat. Who is she helping? It's fishermen. So the context of the boat is in the foreground. The establishing shot is the beach, the location. This is where all the problems are playing out. The tsunami, the storms are impacting fishermen. And the creative shot, you heard the poetry and the singing. This brings a little bit of joy into the scenario. So this is the scene at the coast. The second scene is the solution. Where does this woman work? So in this scene, again, we have the face. Who are we talking about? We have the close-up. We have the over the shoulder. We have the shot of this woman interacting with other people. She is not alone. We have the neutral shot of the organization from a long shot outside of the building. And then we have a creative shot where there's a short pan. So it's only to say you need the coverage to tell the story. And the third location is the home. Again, you have the face. This time it's with her husband. You have the hands over the stove. You have the over the shoulder as she's cooking. You have the neutral shot of what her home looks like. You have a longer shot of her neighborhood. And you have a creative shot of just the community, the sounds and feel of that space. So that's just a reminder again. We can cover this. I want to wrap today by saying 3 key takeaways. I know everybody knows this, but without really fantastic sound, you don't have a film. You really need to do that interview in a place where there is good sound. I have used the headphones for my cell phone, and this will come up later, but you can actually, there's a little microphone in my headphone for my cell phone that does very, very, very good sound. The most important thing is the environment in which you're recording this, but of course this is stuff that Jola is going to get into at a later workshop. The still camera, don't forget the Liz rule. Too often we're so excited to be in the location, our camera movements are manic. Keep it short. And I want to end by just having a very quick go around where each of you just say one takeaway that you've gotten from this workshop. We are a membership of women from all over the world who have so much experience. You are about to start this workshop series. Today was really just an introduction to get you thinking. But I'd like to go around briefly and just say one takeaway or one thing you're excited about in being a part of this group of women who are about to either tell a story or do a training with your members. So I'll just call out names, and I'm going to start with my brave Melka. Melka, tell us one takeaway from this workshop.
Okay, it's very interesting. The whole thing is very interesting, but I take the one take out I can say is the 3 shots, the 6 shots in every shot. That's wonderful, I think. We have 3 shots and we can take 6 for each. So that would be a great thing I heard, and thank you.
Okay, and thank you. How about Christina? Is there a one takeaway from this short introductory workshop?
Besides good story, it's important for us to take into account the technical aspects such as the good sound, still camera, and other things that would draw the attention to the documentary itself when it's viewed by the people.
That's wonderful, Christina. Thank you so much. How about Anu from Nepal? Let us know one takeaway, because as you know, we'll also be continuing to develop these workshops. And if I don't hear back, I know many of, yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Yes, actually the whole session was so good. Thank you so much, Liz. There are so many things to take away, but as a trainer, when I'll be after this workshop, I'd love to show that 6 shots which you have shown on the screen, like face, medium, hands, overhead shoulders, environment. I think that will be very much effective and impactful for the people who will be joining the workshop. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you. Nitu, can you share with us a short takeaway?
Yes, thank you so much for this insightful session. In my mind, there was only 5 such stories in cell phone making through cell phone, but you mentioned that creative short, 6 short. I would like to mention this creative sort in the 6 stories. Thank you.
Absolutely. What you bring in that's creative is really going to make your story stand out. Rebecca, how about you? Is there a takeaway?
Yes, of course. I'm almost done with a lot of documentaries. I finished my documentary sitting here. And it was very interesting, and having like a full documentary for 2 minutes if you are selective enough, is a very good, important lessons, so that everybody can do it. That it's easier and it is doable. So it's very important to know that there is a 2 minutes documentary, and you can tell the story A to Z in 2 minutes.
And this youth generation really only watches 2 minutes. So if your target audience is anybody under 20, it's helpful. But I also want to appreciate, Rebecca, you have a beautiful long history of making longer documentaries. And so I hope you continue in that. Judika, is there something that you'd like to share with us about a takeaway?
Yes, although I have a problem with internet, but pre-production and knowing what are you going to do in the field is very important. What motivated that person whom you are going to interview to do what he is doing, she or he is doing, is very important.
Yes.
I take this as my take home today.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Miraflor, how about you?
Yes. Mine was the log line of the video. It is the first time I was introduced to the term, and for me, that is my one takeaway. I think it is great because it will make the video concise and possible for 2 minutes and so, without compromising the content and message you wanted to show in the video.
That's great. And sometimes late at night when you've lost your way in your film, you go back to that log line and you remember. Fatuma, how about you? What is the takeaway?
Yeah, it's good to let background noise head while audience see what is going on the field. But it's also, instead of adding voiceover, you can put words or subtitles so that someone can read and hear what is going on.
That's great. And as we know in the internet, which is where a lot of these films will be screened, that is really helpful as well. Like, people like to read and understand. So that's wonderful. Thank you. Mirembe, do you have a takeaway?
Thank you, Liz. I know I joined you late, but I hope I catch up with a video recording at a later time. But of course, I look forward to doing a climate story and being a trainer too. And I thank you for taking the members through the creative elements that could be incorporated in film, and especially the use of words. If you are not ready to use the voice, I think I look forward to the future workshops and ensuring that we achieve what is intended from this workshop. Thank you.
Wonderful. We're getting close to the end of our time here. Is there anybody else who would like to share a takeaway who I haven't called on? Please just raise your hand and I'll make sure. Yes, please. And just make sure you put your audio on. We cannot hear you yet.
Okay, are you getting me now? Hello?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I've learned so much because I was not able to join the training quick because of misunderstanding due to the passcode and other things. So I've learned so many things because I do much here digital editing, the 6 shots, because most times we just edit because we want to edit. But I've learned here today that we have to tell a story, we have to put in place 6 shots, different shots, so that you have a very good story, and also your sound, how you, in terms of the video, the duration of the video, the seconds. This one is new to me because sometimes we just edit. We don't know seconds, what seconds we should take or whatever. So that is what my major takeaway, to know when I want to edit, to know my video seconds, how many seconds, 4 to 6 seconds. So that is my takeaway.
What's your name and where are you coming in from?
Yvette Cole-Smith from Sierra Leone, West Africa.
Thank you.
Okay.
Wonderful to meet you, Yvette, and thank you so much for sharing. Natalie, would you like to share something?
Yes, I would. I really enjoyed the session. The whole session, I've learned so much. But I have to say that my major takeaway is that the mindset the training has put me into of when you're going into production, from the pre-production where you're planning your story you're about, to when you're creating the storyboard, is that deciding on the scenes and even the amount of time we'll allocate to each shot and so on.
Wonderful. Thank you. And how about Violet?
Hi, Liz. Wow, thank you very much for that. You know, you have a way of teaching that simplifies everything, because some of us who are still a bit technologically challenged, we freeze up when we see all these things that you can do. But the way you have sort of like trained us in this short seminar, you know, you've really simplified, you know, the whole process, and it makes it easier to, you know, produce creative material. And even the whole issue of the arrangements of shots for just 2 minutes, you know, there's a lot that one can then do with very little, even if it's just a cell phone in the middle of nowhere. So thank you very much for that. I just have another issue, separate issue to ask the team. There are quite a few people who failed to join in. They were having problems logging in. So are you able to provide the recording so that at least more of our members can have access to this?
That is a perfect moment for me to turn this back over to Sheila and Pamela, our fearless leaders in this initiative, and who will wrap it out and tell you what to expect next.
I'll start. Pamela, show your face. Liz, as usual, thank you. What else can I say? Thank you. Thank you for this phenomenal introduction to cell phone videos, making cell phone videos. And the next thing I want to say, yes, we have the recording and we'll share it. And we have the names of everyone here present. And this is it. You are the people who are going to, we are going to send a link to come back to the next training and the next training. And we don't want you to share it with anybody else. Because many people, there are quite a few people here who never registered. When you come late, it's difficult for where we're going and what we want to do in this kind of revolution that iWart is creating. So that's all I'll say, and thank you so much, all of you, for coming. Liz, thank you. Pamela.
Liz, thank you so much. The workshop was so informative and foundational, and I learned a lot, and I'm sure that everyone else did too. And I'm looking forward to seeing how we're going to build and what we're going to have as the finished product, something like the Shoreline project that is so dynamic. So thank you, and thank you all for being here.
Yeah, and Jola, do you want to say anything?
What's next, Jola? What comes after this?
Can't hear you.
We can't hear you, sadly, Jola.
Oh, Jola, what happened to your video? Stop.
Audio.
Audio.
Did you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Now we're hearing you.
Yeah. I have a problem with my, okay. That's what I'm saying. We will discuss about the camera works, you know, the 6 shots you are talking about, Liz. Yeah, we will do it. Yeah.
So we'll send out the information early enough, and we'll remind people. Eunice will send the stuff out to everybody, right, Jola?
Yeah.
And then, so we'll have your training, and I think Sarah Chitimba follows suit after that. And we have Razia following after that. So, and who knows, Liz may come back.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because at the end of the workshop, we are expecting the short video of each one of us. And of course, Liz should also must see the videos. Yeah.
And quickly before we go, Liz, if you can just give us 2 more minutes. Jadika, can you turn your microphone off? You can you share with Liz a little bit about the video you made? Liz is going to see it on the, you know, it's in lineup for working, for more work to be done on it. So that it
Okay.
can be uploaded.
My video, I wanted to know if the smallholder farmers know at least what about something about climate change. So I visited a certain farmer. It's almost 21 kilometers from the Dar es Salaam city to see what he's doing in combating climate change. So I found that man changing his log site, a place where there is a lot of water, to a small farm. So he's tried to make ditches and holes and preserve water, sometimes let the water away to ensure that he can plant different cultivate different crops there, like cassava. I used to cultivate rice, but at the middle of before harvest, he faces shortage of water. So he decided to let the water, small amount of water, go away and plant cassava, bananas, and other crops. He told me that the fellows who were planting rice, they don't get enough harvest because the water is not enough. But still, when he plants something which is needs too much water, he won't get an harvest. He decided to reduce the amount of water so he can plant cassava in his valley.
Okay, understand. So the log line is a farmer confronts the challenges of finding water in a time of water scarcity. And what would be your 3 locations? Just to put you on the spot.
My first location is in the farm, in that site, where I can take pictures of that waterlogged area which is transformed. And the second location is to see maybe neighbors, what they are doing with their cattle. Are they still using it as normal to cultivate rice? And the third one is to know whether he is going to harvest more than he used to do.
Okay, very good. Excellent. You know, the beauty of this workshop is sharing our stories with each other, learning from each other, seeing how climate challenges are different in different places. So I'm really excited to learn about these challenges, but also how people are responding through community solutions, with hope, and what inspiration they're offering to us of how do we confront some of the hardest challenges of our time, but through community solutions. So I really appreciate you sharing that with us, Judika. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Liz. Can we have the photo opportunity for us?
Can we give her
Can we open our video?
Applause? How about a virtual applause? Everybody, turn your cameras on.
Can we take the photo, everyone? Please open your video. Yes, thank you.
Virtual shake for Liz. Virtual. Come on, come on,
the
come
video.
on, come on.
We are the videographers, so open your video. Okay, go. Please. Yes.
We can do it. We can do it. This is important. This is the establishing shot. The establishing shot is all these women come together to bring our best creative efforts and make something that has a meaning around the world. Turn your cameras on.
Too true. Too true.
Okay, smile. Okay. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, wait. Then, okay, sorry.
Joa,
Yes.
can you remove Liz's spotlight and then take another picture?
Oh yeah, better idea. Yeah.
The spotlight, is it?
Remove the spotlight.
Yeah.
I'll remove the spotlight, yeah.
Here we go. Patience is our middle name.
Is it okay?
Yes.
Okay now? Okay.
Now we
Okay,
see you.
Yeah, I have seen everyone.
Hello, beautiful Topista. Hadn't seen you before. Yay, cameras.
Hi. Wait, 1, 2, 3. Okay.
I'm fine. I am in Djibouti. That's why I logged in so late and I didn't register because I wasn't sure that I would be able to. But Josephine kindly sent me the link. Thank you so much for allowing me into the meeting.
Yes, thank you everybody for coming, and we will be in touch. We will see you at the next training, which is more in depth. Come with your ideas, come with any questions about your cameras, your cell phones, your audio. Take care.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.